Hi, Chris Martin here with Creative Domain, and today's quick tip tutorial is working with elastics in Realflow. So we're starting out here in Cinema 4D, and we've got our scene. We've got 4 cylinders and a sphere that we've converted to polygons. And what we're going to try and do in Realflow is to add a mesh, a thin mesh that encompasses these 4 cylinders, and we'll see if we can't get the ball to sort of bounce off of that mesh. So we'll come up to our plugins, next limit, our SD export, we'll select all of our objects, click our output file or our path here, and then save the SD file. After that, we need to go into Realflow. We set up our scene. I've already got the elements in the scene. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a circle emitter in here. I'm going to go into the top view here and just move this sort of in the center, and we'll scale it up. That looks about right. Now let's go into our other view to sort of get it so that it is right there in the middle of these cylinders. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to change the type from liquid to elastics, and let's change the density. Let's add another 0 in there. On the spring, we'll add another 0. Let's see, the volume, we need to take that to 0.1 so that we get our thin layer of particles there, and take the speed to 0 if it's not already at 0. And then what I want to do is I'm going to take the sphere and I'm going to make it inactive, and I'm going to turn my timeline off so that I'm not recording keyframes. And I'm doing this because I kind of want to get this in an initial state, this layer of particles here. So I'm going to click Simulate, and you'll see that it's actually holding on to the cylinders here, and that's kind of going down a little more than I want. Let's reset this. Let me take, you know what, let's take the density to 200, because that density is way too heavy. So let me reset that and simulate again. That looks a little better. So let this simulate for a few frames, and then we will take and make an initial state out of that. Yeah, that looks alright. And you could play around with this. You could make your cylinders bigger, and then it would grasp a little more of the particles here if you wanted it to be tightened up a little bit. But that looks fine. So let's go to the circle emitter. We will go to use initial state. Yes. Click make initial state. We'll come down, click the reset to initial state, and then reset. And now we have this this layer of particles that's going to be like this from the beginning frame. Let's just save that. Now on the sphere, I want to turn this back on, and we want to make sure that the dynamics is set to rigid body. The primitive type, we want it to be set to mesh, and dynamic motion, we want to put that to yes as well. Also, I'm going to give this a initial push in the negative y direction so that it's coming down a little faster. So we would go over to our velocity and change that from 0 to whatever you want. I'm going to say -20. so it should be coming down pretty quick. Alright, with that, I'm going to turn my timeline on so that it's recording keyframes and start the simulation. Let's see how quick that, yeah, you can see that ball just jump down there. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video, let this simulate out, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so we're back. We have finished rendering out about 100 frames, and this is what we've got. So the ball comes down, it hits the particles react to it, and flip it back up, and it comes down for another fall. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we are going to build our mesh. So we'll come up here and we'll insert a mesh, and it has automatically put our circle emitter inside of the mesh. If it does not, you can right click the mesh and say insert fluids. I'm going to come over to the mesh, and I'm going to put the polygon size to 0.03. I'm going to take the filter method to yes, relaxation, the tension to 0.1. And on the circle, that's fine, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and build this mesh. And I'm going to come up here to View, Element, Smooth Shaded. That way I can kind of see what my mesh is going to look like, and you know, that looks fine. Okay, so I'm going to click on the mesh. I'm going to go to frame 0, and I'm going to click on the Build Meshes button. And it's going to start its process, and I'm going to let that finish, and when it does, I will be back. Back again, and our mesh is finished being built, so now we'll jump on over to Cinema 4D. We will go into Plugins, Next Limit, SD Import, and we'll navigate to the Objects folder and double click on the animation. And you can see now that our ball is running the same simulation that it was in Realflow. And we want to go back into Plugins, Next Limit, and we want to go to our Mesh Loader. And we want to navigate over to the Meshes folder, load that up, and there we go. We've got our particles, and if we run through here, you can see that it's deforming to accommodate for the ball. So we'll put some grass on that, and I put a few materials on the different objects. And we'll just run through here, try to get an idea of what it's doing here. It really slows your computer down whenever you load that Realflow mesh. But so let's just get a render of that. Alright, so that is the quick tip tutorial for today on using elastics in Realflow. I hope that helps.